Welcome to the Old Lumens channel. I got a package in the mail today. I didn't think it was going to come till Friday, but it came today. And so I thought I'd take a real quick video here of showing how it came and how it was packaged and that kind of thing. This is the Palight Boss1. So it came with an outer, a pretty hefty outer plastic packaging, padded, taped up real good. I don't see any rips or tears in it, so I'll open it up from there. I know there's a box inside. Okay, you can see that there is a box inside, and the box has been opened, and that's because when GearBest got these, I think they had 4 or 5 pieces that they got in. They had their own people go ahead and open and check each light before shipment. So at least we know that GearBest went to the trouble of making sure, supposedly, that the light worked when it left and it wasn't damaged before it left. And we'll see how it looks after it arrived here. I see nothing on the package that suggests that it's had any damage in it, so hopefully it'll be working perfectly. Okay, so inside the box is another box. And this is a Palight box as well. Palight 26650 new 2016 style. So I'm going to open it up here and see what we got inside of there. We have some padding, looks like some hard foam padding in there, and the light is in here. The padding doesn't look like it really belongs with the light, and the light is in bubble wrap. So here's our first look at this Palight Boss1. It's pretty heavy. I'll do a weight here on it, and pretty big. Okay, give you an idea of how big it is, and give you an idea of how big the reflector is in the lens. It's got an XML2 in it, and I'll do some tearing down a little bit and do some weights and all that kind of thing. Got Palight Boss1 on it, and then some probably the name in Chinese plus the Palight symbol, and looks like the switch is right here on the back. Yeah, it is. Okay. Don't care for the handle at all. It's pretty ugly looking handle. Really, for the rest of the light, the handle looks pretty crappy. But overall, I don't see a mark on it. It looks like it has a pretty decent anodized finish on it. Anyways, I'll go ahead and do some weights and a little tear down here on this thing and see. But yeah, it's pretty good size light, being as fact it takes 4 26650s, and pretty heavy too, which I expected. All right. Okay, did I say this was a heavy light? Without batteries, this weighs 2 pounds 6.8 ounces. That's with no batteries in it. Or if you want to go grams, we'll switch it over here. And it is 1,100 grams. So it's a pretty hefty light. That's without batteries. I'll do it with batteries here in just a second. Okay, with batteries, it's 1,450 grams, or 3 pounds 3 ounces. That's pretty heavy. That's probably the heaviest light that I've ever had come in. But with 4 26650s, I'm not surprised. Anyways, that's the weight, and then I'll do some measurements on overall lengths, diameters, and all that kind of thing. Okay, overall length looks to be about 175 millimeters. The overall diameter looks to be, and this is approximation from off my fingers, to be about 99 millimeters. Okay, I haven't taken the reflector, anything apart yet to tell, but like I say, 99, you could say 100 millimeters probably be close enough for overall diameter. The inside diameter of that reflector looks to be about 85 millimeters on the ID rim of the reflector right there, but I'll get the rest of the measurements when I get it torn apart. I got the batteries in it right now, And from what I see is I see 4 modes altogether. Looks like a high, medium, low, and then you can see this strobe. It's a 2-stage. It's a low flash and a high flash strobe. Okay, and then low, medium, and high on the actual normal mode. So low, medium, high, and like a 2-stage strobing flash. The as far as intensity and all that, I really can't do much until I do some beam shots and do some measurements on lux. Again, this does have an XML2 in it, and I'll see if I can take this apart. I can tell one thing right now. I probably ought to get this up maybe where I can get it a little farther away, huh? One thing, of course, is the threads are not lubed. The threads are not really great. They're, hang on just a minute. Okay, back to it again here. Where was I? I don't remember, but anyways. You can see that it holds 4 26-650s, but it also looks like when you look at the driver and at the back end with the springs, that it probably holds 5 18-650s if you want to put 5 18-650s in there. There's 5 contact points on the driver. What I was talking about the threads was the threads are not lubed. The threads remind me of the old Skyray King threads, and there's not very many. This thing only has like 4 threads in it to hold this whole light together. I think they could have done better and made some deeper threads in here for sure. The driver is held in with a threaded ring. Okay, so you can remove that ring and remove the driver. Of course, we'll be doing all that later. But that's the basics of what I see overall. Like I say, I don't see any nicks or dings or damage on it. I don't like the fact that the threads aren't lubed. I don't like the fact that there's not very many threads, and it's sort of hard to start the threads on this light to get it going, you know. And I have not tried to take apart the tail end or the front end at all to see what all that looks like in there. I'm beginning to believe that possibly you might have to. I don't know how the heck it's all going to come together, come apart, really. I don't see a seam here to take the head apart. So that'll be interesting to see what goes on in there. But I mean, it's a very heavy light. I really don't care for the handle too much, but the handle is what it is. It's well done as far as the anodizing. As far as machining looks okay. Like I say, the threads are not square threads. They're not lubed. They're sort of your average, you know, Skyray King threads, if you know what that means. And overall impression, first impression of the light is that other than the fact that you got a heck of a chunk of aluminum there and probably a lot of machine work, that's probably why the light is set at the cost that it is, you know, the price that it is, the large reflector and all that. The lens is a coated lens, but it's still just a glass lens. It is not an AR coated lens. It's plain glass coated lens. I doubt it's a tough glass lens, so it would probably crack or break fairly easily like most of them do. And like I say, I haven't got into the guts yet. My first impressions are that I really think it needs to be sold for a little less money than what I got mine for. And hopefully, if we can do some kind of a group buy or something, they will be able to sell it for a little less money. What remains to be seen is how we can mod this and what kind of room we have in here. With the depth of that reflector, I'm going to say that there's probably very little room in here at all for any kind of modding. We'll see what the LED shelf or plate is in there like when we get it apart here. But first I want to do some lux measurements, and then I want to do some beam shots, which I'll do later on tonight. So first impression, yeah, it seems like a pretty decent light, but I just would like to see a little bit less money than it's at right now. All right, thank you. Okay, this is a lux meter at 336 times 100 is the lux reading, and that is lux at 2 meters after 30 seconds. Okay, 336 times 100, so 33,600 lux at 2 meters with this on high. And here's an idea of the beam on high. This is about 12 to 14 feet against the wall over there. That's the diameter of the beam on high, and if I move it over, you can see there's a wall clock right there to the right. That wall clock's about 12 inches, and the camera doesn't see exactly. It shows more than what I see. My actual dimension for the beam itself would be about 15 inches or so, 14 inches diameter for that center spot right next to the wall clock, but it looks even bigger than that on the camera. Now I'll go ahead and show you the tail end. I removed the tail cap. It unscrewed. It's not glued on or anything like that, so it came off real easy. Again, very few threads on the body. This is of course the switch right here, and 4 screws holding that back plate on. I'll take that off and I'll go ahead and check the amp draws on low, medium, and high. Okay, I've got my meter, and I'm using one of the 26650s. It's a high drain cell, and it's going to be low amps anyway, so we'll see what we get to start with here. Okay, low gets me 0.45 amps. Medium gets me 1.16, 1.17, 1.16 amps. High gives me 1.9 amps. So on high, we're not even pushing 2 amps. There's dropping to 1.88. So we're not even pushing 2 amps on high. So basically a little less than half an amp on low, a little over an amp on medium, and 1.885, 86 amps on high. That's well after 30 seconds now. So that's what we got for amp draws, okay? And like I say, I'll do some beam shots and that kind of thing, and see what it looks like. It's got a nice spot, but it's not as small as I thought it would be for that large of a reflector. So to me, it's not, I mean, maybe like with a XPG2 or something, it would be a smaller spot and a little more intense. But to me, it's not really nothing to write home about. So thanks. Well, you know, I always say I'm never going to tear this doggone thing apart, but I always do. This is the driver. I'm not going to do or say a lot about it. Pretty simple driver. The shelf here that goes up for the LED, it looks like that is removable. It doesn't look like it's one piece. It looks like it unscrews. I still haven't figured out how I'm going to take the head apart yet. I got to look that over more and figure that out. I think maybe here's a seam. I'm not sure. Nah, I don't think so. I don't know. Anyways, we'll figure out how the head comes apart. I know it's got to somehow, and we'll go over that later, but at least that gives you an idea what the driver looks like. And also, this does not have mode memory. It always starts on low mode, so no mode memory. Okay, since I'm running my mouth, a couple other little things I'll tell you about this light for people who want to mod it. Because you have contact points here, instead of having a solid ring like you would in an SRK, your battery tube, your body, has to be aligned properly when it's totally screwed in all the way, or the positive contacts are not going to touch here. They might be in the middle, okay? So if you do take this thing apart, you'd better make sure, first of all, you better take off the tail cap and remove the back plate. Screw the body in tight, and then you can look and see, are you aligned, correctly, or are you off? Because this one was off a little bit. It was still making contact, but it was making contact on the edge of the battery terminals, not in the centers. So when I took it apart and put it back together, I aligned it by removing the tail cap and removing the back plate, screwing the body on it and looking through it, and getting it aligned that way. But that's the problem with having only points like that. You have alignment issues, okay? So if you take it apart and put it back together, first of all, make sure that it is aligned properly. If it is, mark it somehow so that when you put it back together again and you tighten this outer ring down, that you get the driver exactly in the right position that it needs to be in, okay? And also, when you tighten this ring down, it's going to turn the driver too. That's what happened to me, is I had to move the driver back farther this way than I wanted it to be, so that as I tightened and it moved with it, that it would come into alignment. So it's sort of a pain in the butt, but that's just the way it is. They could have made a solid ring across here if they wanted to, and only had the center contact like this, and that way, when you turn put the batteries in and turn it together, it wouldn't matter what way it turned. It would still all make contact like it should. That's what they should have done, to put a solid contact plate here and the solid contact in the center. They would have been fine. They never had to do this at all. There's no reason to do that. So anyways, I can see why they made the raised tabs, because you have a ring in here that keeps the body away from the driver. So these tabs are raised up so that the batteries make contact, but they could have made the whole thing that way. One solid circle instead of this all together here. Didn't have to do it that way. Anyways, that's just my opinion, and I'm going to shut up now. Thanks. Oh, come on, you didn't really think I was done yet, did you? I mean, I haven't talked enough yet. The other thing is the distance between the driver plate and the base plate for the LED. There's only about 3 millimeters at the most. Open distance in there, so you're not going to do a lot of modding as far as adding extra material underneath the LED. You got enough in here in the head, to take some heat out, but I'm concerned yet about the contact until I get it all apart, about the contact of that LED plate to the head itself. But there's no extra room in there to be doing a lot of extra, or to have a driver that has a lot of components to stick up tall. The driver needs to be, those components need to be laying flush. Only, like I said, you got about 3 millimeters max between that driver plate and the base of the LED base. So I think that's the last thing for the moment I got to say.